Hey everyone, just welcome to your daily update for SOL and BTC. Wow, wasn't that fun? Um, just struggling to put this video together because TradingView has become so laggy with that amazing dump. So looking at the liquidity, if there is any left to the downside, um, yeah, it's not looking good. We came down, we got to that 180 area. Some exchanges went down to 140s, which is pretty insane. There was this, months and months and months ago, we were talking about this level down at about 144, where they hadn't quite hit the hold level, and it was just weird. And it's the kind of weird that you just one day expect to see some revisit, but who would have thought that it went down and hit it today in a single candle? Um, so I guess in common sense terms, liquidity is now to the upside, probably wherever you look. I'd say looking at 7-day, looking at 30-day, it's probably all to the upside. BTC might have another little sweep to the bottom. It's quite amazing how many people actually longed that dip for that. That's actually 30-day liquidity. So it's interesting that those positions didn't get liquidated. Either that or the systems are just taking a long time to update, which could be the case. So looking at it from the other direction, as you can see, it just completely tanked. Yeah, I was not expecting that to happen today. I thought that they were definitely gearing up for it with losing that 120 level that we spoke about yesterday. But typically, what you would see is you'd see a close under the level, a retest of the level, and then a dump. But they basically just decided that nah, we're just going to keep going. So it lost the 117.5 level, and then it lost the 116.8, and then it was just a cascade from there. But as you can see, the bounce back has been huge. The level down here at 102 was that monthly range on Bitcoin that had never had a retest since it broke out. And I mentioned several videos back that we'd finally reached the point where the total market cap had had its monthly break. And so it would sort of make sense now for BTC to go back and do that retest. And well, there you go, it's done it. So hopefully people didn't get too damaged by that. Looking at SOL, getting down to that 143 level pretty much just completely clears the deck. I mean, or even the high time frame liquidity is just completely wiped out. The bounce back from it has been very, very bullish, which if it is to hold, over these sort of 180, 190 sort of levels today, then what you could see is some of that high time frame support kick in, and then it'll come up here to take the top side. So if it closes under key levels though, then yeah, maybe expect more down. This could be the start of the bear market, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for it to go down and try to sweep that low again, not without letting the liquidity build up and actually going sideways for a while at least. So I could see BTC probably, when we look at that other chart, assuming that this liquidity down to 106, 107 is somehow didn't get wiped out. Maybe they covered the positions or something and then took it away again after it bounced back up. It's hard to say, but if that liquidity is still there, maybe you get to see a double bottoming down to that sort of 107 area. But other than that, 114 was the main area of high time frame support. So diving down through it all, if it gets back up above that 114 area in a relatively timely manner, then you'd expect it to be pushing up again from there, and then that was just one hell of a flush. So summary, staying around here, we're probably going to go down. Pushing back up and getting above some of these key levels like 114 or getting back up above the 190s in a timely manner, we're probably going to go up. So if we have a look at that from charts, so SOLBTC Strength, it was always in a bit of a dangerous spot here below that origin level. But like I say, typically you get some kind of hard close and then a dump. But you know, origin levels can be a little bit unpredictable, as you can now tell, and it's just taken an absolute dive. So you want to see it get back up above 17000 by the end of the day, or preferably back up above this range trend at 17208, and then it could have a chance of regaining strength, bouncing off that range trend and coming back up. But until we get over the downtrend, we're still in a downtrend, obviously. Looking at the safety assets, same thing but in reverse. It snuck up over the origin levels here and then just exploded. Not the kind of thing that you want to see if you're talking about altcoins for BTC and stables to be doing a massive spike up like this. But this is the market. And if we look at it from a total market cap perspective, yeah, it's just absolute carnage. So it basically just dove through every single trend, down through all the various support levels, almost like it was trying to retest that original daily range trend, which it got pretty close to before bouncing back up. But yeah, this kind of recovery that you see here, this is quite a bullish recovery, really. If it can get back up into this topside range here above that 1.52, either on this candle or on the next one, then that's pretty good. Or even if it gets above 1.56, and then it's probably going to go up and try to sweep these highs up here. So pretty much it's just a really big version of what you sort of see when it comes to ranging. They kind of bounce like this, they sweep, and then they either make a new high by taking the top, so once they take all the bottom, or they reject and you are now in a very high time frame downtrend, or they get to about halfway sometimes and then reject. But that's kind of what you're looking at with that. And let's have a look at that monthly as well. Where was it? There it was. Yeah, so this hard close here always implied that you were then going to come down and retest this monthly break level, and it sure as heck did that. In fact, it was going to retest that break level there at that 1.44, and of course it's dived nearly down to the monthly hold level and come back up. So as you can see, the place it comes back up to is just above the break. So it's kind of a combination of a flush and a break level retest happening at the same time. We've still got 21 days to go on the month, so really you don't know whether this kind of thing is going to become a monthly downtrend until you see the close, because it could create a hold level here, or it could close underneath that break level again and then continue down, or it could sneak up and end up closing higher. There's a lot of time to go on the candle, but if this does a full reversal and ends up sweeping this range and then pushing up to this higher level, then it's going to come all the way up to this sort of 20.05 area. So let's have a look at it another direction. See, it's just absolutely dived down into that cluster of support that existed down here. So this was your previous range before it sort of broke into this range, and then it's dived down, tested the previous range, go back up. So it's not the kind of thing you see terribly often, but it is sort of bullish, looking at the fact that it's done that retracement so quickly. Okay, let's have a look at BTC. So BTC has basically done a perfect range play. That is the hold, or basically the hold of the range. So it's created the range, it's been doing all this, and it's gone up, it's swept some liquidity, and then it's come down and it's tested the hold of the range. So it's basically make or break. So once a range has done this, there is nothing left to stop this price from basically going below 100k unless it can get up above this range. Excuse me. So yeah, what we're really looking for on this is to ideally close back up above that 114 sort of area, particularly if we can get back into this top accumulation range up here, which is kind of a sub-range of the bigger range. So if we can get up into there, get back on top of that trend, and then look to target these high levels, then it's all good. If it stays here, and particularly if it gets below, what do we got there, 109. If it was to move back below 109, then it's pretty much certain death and you're in a bear market really, because that is the final hold of the range. And now that it's been tested, it's either break to the upside, create new range, or come down, lose range, and then go sub 100k. So I guess we at least we now have some reference points to look at as to whether or not we get another leg up. So the area that would create the breakout on the daily would be this 124539 level. So it's been created as a daily origin, and if you can get a daily close above that, or even if it just sneaks above that, it can explode up to the top side, much like what you've seen with this sneaking below these levels. It can just sort of explode to the downside. So yeah, if we can get above 124.539 in the coming days, then it should head off to the upside. Failing that, that level is going to reject, which I think probably pays to look at the weekly for this. Okay. Yeah, so exactly the same level is currently a weekly break level that's rejecting. If you get a weekly close next week that does not make it back to that line, then that line becomes that high time frame resistance, and that is basically, you know, I've said this before, but we'll say it again. That is basically what happens. Same here. So this is your previous top before the bear. So we created the weekly structure, we failed to get back to it, had a big sweep, moved back up to it, hit it, bear market. Okay, so just keep in mind that as far as what happened here and what comes next, we are looking at the very first part of that. Okay, so we've hit the level, we've rejected. If the next weekly candle does not get up over the top of that, or at least touch it, then it converts to a weekly high time frame resistance, and then you'd potentially see a bigger dump. And I guess the one saving grace for people who might be in positions that are underwater is that you may then get back up to that level, and even blow off top above it before the end of the market. But yeah, the moral of the story is that that's probably a good sign for the end of things. So unless, as you can see, you get above. So this is the last time we did the same thing. We created that range down here. We hit it, had a big dump, went back up, got over the top of it. And effectively that's the area you're trying to hold. You know, because we're already over the top of this 108 level, which could have been the level that, you know, could have kicked off the bear market. But the fact that we managed to hard close it and keep it as support has allowed it to stay up there above that 108 level for now. But you're about to have that same test of Bitcoin strength at 124.539. Okay, let's have a look at SOL. So this is just brutal. So there was a little, you know, that gap, I think it was on a 3-day chart. 3-day chart. Yeah, the gap that I spoke about just when we were looking at liquidity. You know, we left this gap down here a very long time ago, you know, June the 30th. And I remember talking to people in the Discord about this. I think it might have been a different Discord at the time, but talking to people about this and actually thinking, hey, this is weird. Like, why have we not hit that level? And just for a long time, you're sort of expecting it to come back to this level. And this is the thing about markets. It's kind of when you absolutely least expect something to play out, well, there it goes, straight back down to that level. And that was actually pretty much just fixing this tiny little thing that didn't touch in here, but did create a move. So it was, yeah, I guess it's kind of nice to see it happen, even though it was at the cost of $7 billion worth of liquidations or something along those lines. So as far as the daily close goes, ideally you want to get back up into this range, above that 200. It would be okay to get above 196. That would also be quite bullish. Staying above the range trend, which is just kind of where it is now, that's also good. But if it retests the range trend, it may only go back to this 196 level, or up to something like the backside here at 206, or at best the front side here at 219. So it's not a bad place to close. What's that? 185. Yeah, so it's not a bad place to close after doing that sweep. Anything from, let's say, what's really bad? Really bad would be just if it nips down below the range trend before close, because they do that sometimes. They just wait for that last minute and then just push down below and then reject off it to go down to the next level, and that would mean revisiting that 159 range down there. And the other one would be just staying above 185.454. Yeah, definitely staying above there, because that would be staying above the break of the previous range. Yeah. So there's a few levels there, which, hey, it might creep up in the next hour, but basically we just don't want to see hard closes down here. Once you start spending days down here and closing distribution candles or ranges, then the top is most likely, or at least a local top is most likely in, that's for sure. Okay. Wonder if we should even look at these others. They're probably completely nuked. Okay, let's see. The candle's just gone off the bottom of the chart. I shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of just a testament to what can happen in crypto. There's so much leverage. Once the leverage cascade starts, it can just really go. And I don't even know what level that's gone to, but it's bounced back up above the range trend. It's still below the main trend. So most of these are going to get some kind of trend shift or something today, but it's going to be, there's nothing really closing today. So it's probably going to have to be, just going to quickly check, see what closes we have tomorrow. Today's a prime day, by the way. Welcome to prime days, and that's why we kind of call them Elmo chaos days, because this kind of stuff tends to happen on days when it doesn't create huge structural changes. So even tomorrow, there's only a 1 day, 2 day, 4 day, and a 71 day. So they might be trying to set up something big, but yeah. So I mean, they basically came down and hit the 71 day trend, hold level. So as long as they don't close under here in a couple of days, because this could create a whole candle, but As you can see, it's very, very hard to keep an eye on some of these high time frame ranges, but the coming down here was a range trend. This was pushing up into the range trend. It was pretty inevitable that at some point it was going to have to revert down to this hole down here to try and actually, or this range trend down here to actually try and get the support to move up. So I'd be a little bit wary of this one here, which is about 2.5. To close over that, you're going to want to be up about 2.633. So when it comes to this close, which is going to happen in a couple of days' time, that entire range has been swept top to bottom. It needs to get back up into this flag, or whatever you want to call it here, and that's in a couple of days' time. Now, if it doesn't, if it closes under this range trend, which it has done before, like here, it can still get back up. But once you start to get hard closes under this range trend, then definitely the range becomes this level back down to this level, and that's when you basically say, yep, we're 100% in a bear market. So let's see what ENA just absolutely tanked. See, this was looking very, very strong, but 12 cents. This came down. This actually, I think that swept the entire range, which is that's impressive. Because we had a 3-month range on that. Don't think it hit. No, it couldn't hit the 3-month target because the 3-month target would be negatives. Let's work through that hold. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting thing about this one though is it still hasn't actually tested the range trend on the top side, so yeah, you'd be expecting this to actually come up and test this trend, particularly after hitting the hold level. So yeah, it might be, if anyone managed to get a 10-cent buy on that or a 13-cent buy on that, they'll be pretty happy right now. But looking at it, it's still, in theory, should be coming back up to that trend. So I guess we'll see how that goes. Cooked it all right. Just went back down to the bottom of the daily range. That's actually the origin level of the range. So it didn't even break the origin level of the range. So that's actually way more bullish than the other tokens. World Liberty Finance took an absolute nosedive. So you need to see that thing get back up and back over. So this is just a pretty good example of what happens if you close under the break. You can just drop like that. So there's nothing else really in there to support it. So it's definitely taken a pretty big tumble. That got down to about 7 cents. Uh-oh, ZEUS is on the wrong side of the range. So if weekly closes under there, more ZEUS downside. Hype swept just about everything. So it's swept the origin levels, it's come back up. But this is quite bullish, the fact that it's closing, or potentially going to close in a couple of days, back up inside that weekly range trend. So more bullish would be if it got back up above that 4.2 level. But it's yeah, absolute carnage. Everything under there is now being swept, so it's very much like Bitcoin. It either has to go to a higher high, or it's going to end up losing this entire top level and then bear market. I think ASTER managed to trick everybody. It was one of the strongest looking tokens in this 4-hour candle here, and then just boom. I can't show you it on this chart, but there was a 2-day move on ASTER, and it was the first 2-day move, and it bounced off the break level in about 177, 178. This point about here was the target of the move. So this bounce here was the 2-day bounce, and then that's when the market just tanked. So it did complete its 2-day bounce before it decided to fall off the face of the earth. So really you just want to see it get back up above 1.4618, and you want it to not create a hold level here at 1.55, and you really want it to be back up inside that range. So really you just want to see this thing get back up there in the next hour and a half, and then it could move up from there. But yeah, it's not bullish if it doesn't get back up inside there, that's for sure. Okay. And ETH, so ETH was looking quite strong, so it created a range trend, bounced off the range trend, rejected off the hold, got down below the range trend, and then your market just tanked. So what it ended up doing is retesting the prior range trend that was coming through here as well as that one. So very brutal. And I think it's now tested whichever one of those is the bottom of the range. It's one of these two, but it's now tested the bottom of the range, so it's basically now got to be able to get up and across the top as well, otherwise it's a bear market. And the high time frame resistance at the top of the range there is up about 4.793, so it's really got to get back up into these ranges and then travel on up through there. You'll know tomorrow whether this was really just a complete sweep, because it'll probably end up getting back up over the trend, and then that'll just be a trend dive to the downside, and then there'll be the push up to the upside. And you'll have a better idea about it once the daily closes today. So, but the size of this bounce back is, I'd put more on the side of a bullish bounce than a bearish bounce, because typically they'd want to stay down here and then let new liquidity build up underneath, and then shorts would pile in on the top, and then you might get a little bit of a move up and then another dump down. But yeah, the speed of the recovery is the key thing, and it looks to me like it's just done a flush and it's having a bit of a bullish recovery. And I think that's pretty much us. Everyone asked for a quick look at Tesla, so let's have a quick look at Tesla. So it's come down and it's tested the bottom of the daily range, and you really want this to get back above that origin level. If it doesn't get back above that origin level, and if it doesn't reclaim this down facing range trend on the daily, then you'd sort of expect it to come down a bit more. But I think the targets that we were talking about in this, just when I quickly looked at it the other day, was more like 3.94 anyway, based on a higher time frame. So this might just be a stepping stone to that playing out, because this is like, if you look at the crypto dips, big dips, wick up, you could argue that kind of action and that kind of move back up really fast is quite bullish. But looking at this, it's just kind of sitting here. So although it is post market, right? So I don't really focus too much on stocks, but yeah, you really want to see this bounce back up, get back up over that 421.72, get back up over that range trend 4.26, and then it might have a chance. But yeah, if it starts to close below this level, expect 400 or lower. I think that might be the trying to see if I had that charted on weekly. So it's still, well, like, that is such a big weekly range. And technically this thing can come all the way down to 339, and it's still within the weekly range. So yeah, Let's have a look. Yeah, that's us. So moving forward, there's a lot of confluence there at 114 and on BTC, and if it gets up above that 114 level, it probably is going to have a bit of a push to the tops. SOL, all the high time frame support sort of kicks in around that 189. It's definitely triggered all of that, because it's such a big dive. And if it can hold that 189 level, then it's probably going to have a bit of a move up as well. So the speed of the recovery on them would say to me it's probably more bullish than bearish. The fact that it's just things like the monthly retests being completed on the total market cap, and although these are pretty brutal dives, they are definitely within the realms of things that can happen, and hence a good reason for things like very low liquidation levels or stop losses, or hedging short, or at least using platforms where you can hedge short, because a lot of people trading on dexes, etc., who can't actually open a short against their long can often get caught out in situations like this rather than being able to hedge during times of uncertainty. So yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit. And yeah, put some stuff in the comments, and I hope everyone survived. I think just looking in the Discord, it doesn't look too bad. It looks like a lot of people managed to survive it. So we'll see where we go in the next day. Cheers.